Welcome back to High Heels to Happy Feels, the podcast where we stop performing success and start living soul first. I'm Natalie. Stephanie is at a motorcycle rally, so I am on my own this week. But today we're going to break up with something, and this is something that we all carry around without even realizing it, and that is the productivity guilt. It almost feels like a grift. Because if you've ever felt like you're failing at being consistent, you are not broken. You've just been trying to follow the rhythm that was never made for your energy. So let's talk about one of the most exhausting myths out there. Consistency is king is one of them. Push through or don't bother, or momentum only happens when you show up every single day. Does that sound familiar to you? Here's the real truth behind it. Real rhythm actually is not linear at all. It's very cyclical, and you don't grow in a straight line. Nature doesn't bloom all year round. The moon isn't always full. So why do we expect ourselves to do that? Your energy, your focus, your clarity, they all come in waves. Trying to force consistency when your rhythm is shifting, it's not notable. It's just exhausting. So here's a twist for you. Even in a lot of spiritual spaces, are subtly reinforcing that old rhythm. Spiritual success can start looking like a checklist. You know, the daily meditations, the moon rituals, the tarot pulls, the alignment hacks, which they have their place, but rhythm, real rhythm, doesn't care about your checklists. It wants truth, not performance. So let's zoom out for a minute and take a look at the sky because the cosmos are offering some wisdom about the rhythm right now. Our sun is in Cancer, and it's going to be guiding us towards that emotional truth and nourishment and that inner rhythm, not outer validation. Jupiter is also in Cancer, and that's expansion, but it's expansion for what feels safe and sustainable, not what looks productive. Mars in Virgo supports small and those steady movements, but they're not performative either. And one last one to mention here, Pluto's in retrograde with Aquarius. So it's still pulling apart those old systems of the overfunctioning and the perfectionism. And really, this this whole process is an old system. So our message is really loud and clear. Our rhythm is personal. So we need to stop borrowing someone else's. And let's just pause for a second and talk about the current vibe with like spiritual TikTok and Instagram and all of that. It's like every scroll is another oracle card, astrological prediction, aura reading, spiritual aesthetic. And don't get me wrong, I love the magic and we're part of that magic, but it's also a reminder. We are not here to sync our spiritual practice to an algorithm. We are here to sync with our soul, and it's very important to remain soul led. So let's talk about rhythm in a spiritual sense, because spirit doesn't move in straight lines either. It's going to move in waves from expansion to contraction to visibility to the integration. So if you're in a slower wave right now, this does not mean that you're off track. It just means that you might be integrating everything you've learned, integrating everything that's around you. So let's try this right now. Close your eyes for a second and take a breath and ask, what wave am I in right now? Is it expansion, where maybe you are expanding, you're taking everything in? Or maybe it's contraction, you're kind of coming back into self. Maybe it's integration, and there is no wrong answer here. Just being honest with yourself so you know how to vibe. And before we get into this week's practice, let's check in with the energy of today because today's card is kind of the perfect mirror for everything that we're talking about on this podcast. It reminded us to let go of the ego's obsession with timelines and expectations, and instead trust the essence of our potential, not the form, not the output, but the possibility of what's unfolding. And astrologically, the Taurus moon that we're in, it gives us that permission to kind of take that downshift and to soften a little bit, to remember that just because something's quiet doesn't mean that it's not happening. Because this is going to be about trusting the quiet seasons just as much as your growth spurts, and everything should be just as exciting. So let's drop into the magic. Every time you honor your actual pace, that's magic. Every time you stop forcing yourself into a linear consistency, more magic. Every breath you take that's in rhythm with who you are becoming, that's magic. You get to set your own tempo, and it counts, even when it's slow. This week has been a crash course in this lesson, and I mention this all the time, but it seems like all of the things align with astrological things that we're doing for our podcast, which is always crazy. But we're between that meh Taurus moon and the Cancer sun feels and the fire water Aries tension that we just went through. And that gets us all over the place. But just remember that we are syncing with our own soul's rhythm. So allow yourself to be exactly where you're at. And here's something to try this week. The soul rhythm reset practice. We can call it whatever we want. This is just a tool that I want you to do. Notice where you're forcing it, whether that's creativity, professionally, emotionally, spirituality, and ask, what's my real rhythm right now? Is it fast or is it slow? Is it still? Is it integrating? And adjust any expectation that you might have right now to meet your actual rhythm instead of battling it. Just one, because that tiny shift can lead to a major alignment. What I'm really liking that I'm seeing on the algorithms right now is folks are really starting to turn soul led, which is a super passion of ours. Adding crystals to their yoga or meditation. I mean, making it the purpose to meet them where they're at. And I think it's super important to be soul led when you're following your rhythm, because that is truly what it is. So wherever you're at today, if it feels slow, if it feels quiet, if it doesn't look like progress from the outside, you are not behind. You are exactly where your soul is asking you to be. And if you want support reconnecting to your body's rhythm, to your soul's rhythm, not to someone else's productivity timeline, we have lots of free tools, and that's at immersivespiritliving.com. The embodiment pack starts with really checking in with your body, and I think that's a great place to start because it's going to walk you through um, just some identifying prompts, and it's a good place. Check out all the tools though because they're amazing to get on your soul-led path. All right, next week we're going to be stepping into your next becoming, living into what's unfolding. Because once you reclaim your rhythm, you're ready for what's next. See you next week with Immersive Spirit. Have a fantastic week.